Hello and welcome to the Spa Business Mastery Podcast. I am Kirsten Voss and I am really glad that you're here. Today is our October forecast for 2024 with business numerology. So if you've been following me, then maybe you have listened to the September forecast. And now that we're through September, maybe you have a few reflections about the month of September because it was an eight energy month, and eight energy is all about mastery and abundance. And so when we dig into that a little bit more about that mastery, we're talking about subject matter expertise. We're talking about leadership, mentorship energy. We're talking about like going deep on subjects, no superficial stuff here. And so I'm really curious if you at all felt that high vibration of the eight and felt really motivated to step into your leadership and your entrepreneurship and to kind of take on that mastery role of entrepreneurship. So, like that's the dedication, the commitment, the like keeping going with momentum. And that can sometimes be really hard as entrepreneurs. Like, we have a finite energy, and especially when we're in the service industry and we're working with people, um, having that high leadership, those high leadership qualities, and having those high qualities of understanding how your abundance flows to you, um, that sometimes can also be really challenging. So I definitely saw some of the low vibration of the eight energy come up this month for not so much myself. I saw it a little bit more in other people, but I did see a lot of my clients and those participants and members in the Soul of Business. We were really focusing on upping our game as far as our leadership. Like, what is it going to take for us to really step up into that leadership and to be that subject matter expertise, to be that person that consumers and our clients go to for information? I was so excited to see my clients really, stepping up to that challenge of the eight energy and being like, yeah, let's do this. I want to give it my all. And I did notice that those of us that had eight energy, a lot of strong eight energy in our charts, we kind of felt it even more. Like we just had this, it just felt like a bit of a freight train, to be perfectly honest. Like, felt motivated, had ideas, and was really feeling ready to step into like a higher version of ourselves as entrepreneurs. So I saw that happening with social media. They were showing up in social media more often and very strategically, and using their own code to show up in social media in a way that really allows them to shine and allows their clients and consumers to see them. So that was really, really cool. But maybe we felt a little bit of the low eight when you if we felt at all out of control last month, that eight energy does not like that. And the eight energy will try to control it. And it often comes across as being over controlling, overbearing, kind of bossy. Um, Not a lot of sensitivity to, people's feelings, perhaps, but it was because it was because probably because you were feeling like a sense of like out of control. And if you're not aware of your high vibration of eight, like where you can go to, sometimes we tend to default to just what emotion is coming up at that time with our business. And we just kind of like end up kind of falling into it if we're not aware. So take a little pulse check, see how you did last month. How were your feels around your business and your leadership, and your especially about money and abundance? Um, if you didn't see and listen to last month's forecast, maybe you are having some aha moments right now. We're like, oh, that was why I was feeling like that, because the energy was really ripe and really rich for us to experience all the highs and lows. It really just depended on how aware we are and what we're willing to learn. The more we stick our head in the sand about the things we really need to learn, the harder it is. I mean, we know this, but maybe you just need that little pep talk. So let's pull the head out of the sand and put our awareness hat on, because that really does make our business journey a whole lot easier. It makes our personal lives a whole lot easier if we don't fight what the lesson is trying to teach us. So numerology is I love numerology because it's a simple way of tapping into what the heck is going on right now, or what the heck is going on with me right now. So let's get into October's energy, because we've moved from an 8 energy of September into the 9 energy of October. Now, 9 is the end of a manifestation cycle. So we start at 1, go all the way through the numbers, and 9 is the end. And so next month in November, it will be a 1 energy month. So because the 9 is at the end of a cycle, a manifestation cycle, the 9 is really about having high standards and a higher awareness. So, going through the numbers 1 to 8 that we have been doing since February, if you've been aware of your kind of energetic, emotional, spiritual journey, uh, kind of paralleling with your business, then you might have felt this progression of the kind of 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 but we've just come out of that 8. And if we've been doing our work along the way with each of these numbers, then when we get to that 9 cycle completion, we have that higher perspective. And because we have that higher perspective, there's a level of integrity that is part of this number as well. The 9 energy on the highs is basically leading by example. If you are a ruling number 9 or a leadership code 9, I use those two terms interchangeably. You might find this month a little extra spicy for you, because when we double up on numbers, it starts amplifying those energies. So if you are a ruling number 9, you may feel some of the highs feel even higher, but you might also get stuck in the lows and feel lower. So that's just a little heads up to make sure that you are always aware of kind of where you're at with your mindset, and with your energy. So that 9, because it is about having higher perspectives, it's about leading by example. So those people that are ruling number 9s or leadership code 9s, if you are leading a team, it's important anyways to lead by example, but for you, it is like situation critical. If you are not leading by example, then you are likely having trouble with your team and with your business, because you're falling into this do as I say, not as I do. That would be the low vibration of a 9. The high vibration has got a global perspective of things. Again, it's that like you can see everything. You've kind of climbed up the ladder, and can now look down and have perspective. Humanitarianism is a big 9 energy, which, part of that is like championing for the underdog. I do notice that my clients who are ruling number 9, they have this extra, like, I know the beauty and wellness industry always is part of like being in service to others. But with the 9 energy, there's this bigger humanitarianism vibration going on. And so, what I do notice about spa owners or wellness or beauty business owners that are a 9 is they sometimes have problems with pricing or putting up their prices, because they're so wanting to like help everybody and champion the underdog. And if the underdog is struggling with their self-esteem and is kind of broke, the 9 energy will be just like, oh, don't worry about it. Come on in. We'll make it work. Now, that can get us into trouble when we have a business, but just know that if you are a 9 and you have those feelings, or if you have a lot of 9 in your chart, so like if you were born in like 1999, or you are born in the 9th month and the 9th day, and if you're born in 1999 as well, we got a lot of 9s happening. But, you will likely have this really big pull to want to like cheer for the underdog and champion for the underdog. 9 energy is graduation day. Yay! We made it from 1 to 9. And again, that's why that feels like graduation day on its high vibration, because we've learned some stuff along the way, which allows us to look back and reflect. So this month is going to have a lot of reflection in it, as part of that graduation day. We think about when you graduated from aesthetic school, or you graduated from college or high school, and at that moment, you have this like feeling of there's a feeling of confidence, there's a feeling of security because you've done the thing. I mean, that doesn't, we're going to feel insecure once we start looking forward, but I'm talking when we reflect back, there is a level of wisdom that we can glean. So don't be so quick to come off of your lessons, that life sometimes teaches us, because this is part of, like, it's a big part of how we gather and keep our wisdom and knowledge is by these lessons. And some of us have to learn our lessons a little harder than others. So if you have sevens in your chart, well, that's a little influence that, you might have. It might be kind of learning life lessons might be just feel like they're a little harder than others. The nine is about endings, completion, letting go, reflection. And, when we can reflect and come to terms with things and forgive, there's a huge amount of power in that for us to be able to move forward to our next manifestation cycle. So the nine is about forgiveness. Okay. So let's head into the low vibration of the nine, because you're going to recognize some stuff. And if you have done the ruling number for maybe some of your team or a partner or even your kids, I find this really fascinating because it can make a lot of our relationships make sense. So check and see if anybody around you, like if you know their birth dates, if they're a ruling number nine, and what you notice about them in the high and the low vibrations. So this is a little side note in terms of business strategy and using numerology. So the low vibration of nine is overwhelm and burnout. So think about it, kind of getting to the end of a project, or you've done a build out or you've done a launch and you're finished. If you weren't mindful of your energy and your mindset and your resources and your structure and your systems, you very much can feel overwhelmed and burned out. So again, if you are feeling that, you're at that burnout place, use the high vibration of nine, that reflection piece, to discern, like, what am I going to do next time so I don't end up like this. Low vibration of nine is self-sacrifice. And, a lot of times in our industries, we do a lot of self-sacrificing every day and in little ways that I think you're not necessarily even aware of. So the self-sacrificing that happens often is to our own physical body. We book ourselves so tightly, we don't have time to eat, or we forget to eat, or we don't have time to go have a quick pee. So we're holding it, and that's not healthy for our bladder. We're like running, like moving around quickly, trying to get things that activates our nervous system. So yeah, if you find yourself kind of, maybe you're not even at the burnout place, but you do find yourself kind of feeling like I'm kind of sacrificing myself a lot. It feels like you are. If you feel like it, you are. And it's time to do that reflection to see where that kind of low vibration of self-sacrifice is actually detrimental. So there's a line between giving to our clients and being in service to our clients, and the line of like our own health, wealth, and happiness, right? Being controlling is a very big nine, low vibration, judgmental and critical. When I see a lot of nines in somebody's chart, this is one place we have to have a really big conversation about this being critical and judgmental, because a lot of times it's turned on to yourself, and that is so undermining of your confidence as a leader, and being able to grow, have that confidence to grow in your business. And the other place I see it, if people are really not self-aware, I don't see this a lot in the spa industry or the wellness or beauty industry. I do see it out and about in daily life and in relationships that I've had with people that are a nine. Um, they can be difficult if they're in their low vibration. It's just kind of always negative, and they're never really happy. There's always something to nitpick at, and that can feel completely debilitating on the receiving end of that. And think about it. If you're doing that to yourself, if that's if I were to speak to somebody in a judgmental and critical tone, and they felt like just crushed, and we do that to ourselves, and we miss the piece where it's actually soul crushing because we're so used to doing it. So this month, I really would like you to pay attention to those moments of self-criticism and judgment, that inner critic. The inner critic is actually is part of that 8 energy, but it comes full force into the 9 energy with that judgment and criticism. There also may be some situations that you're seeing resistance to change. So this would be somewhere, I'll talk about this a little bit more, where your consumers or your clients might feel resistance to change. Now they might, if they're in their low vibration, if they're in their high vibration, they're going to have the wisdom to know like what I've been using isn't working for me and I need something new, like going on to the 1 energy. But you are going to find some of your clients that are just kind of stuck in their rut, and there'll be resistance to change. So when you understand that about what's coming down the pipe for this month, you can prep yourself for overcoming objections conversations, okay? And also having conversations maybe a little bit more directly with our clients who are being resistant to change. So I know that drives you crazy. Say if you're a skin therapist and part of your thing is that they have to be on your products and they're still keep using drugstore or whatever, and you've been kind of letting that go for a while, this may be a month where you're just like, I'm done with the clients that aren't really going to be compliant, and I'll get new ones. And or it might be a time where you have your little kind of frank conversation with those clients about, I'm at this place where da da da, and are you ready to kind of jump full, both feet in? If you're not, then maybe we're not the right fit. If that is how you like to run your business in terms of having your clients, needing them on your products for your program. Not every situation is going to be like that. That's just a little example. Another example for other beauty and wellness businesses are like if you decide to put in some boundaries around like deposits and cancellations. You may find some people are resistant to change and being judgmental and critical about that, but stand in what you know as a leader in your wisdom of this 9 energy. You know what you know and you know what's right. And if, anytime we are in relationship with people who consistently stay in the low vibration, we get to say, yeah, we're done. I've fired clients. I didn't have to do it a lot, but there were times where I just felt like, you know what, this client comes in that is negative all the time. And whenever I look at my schedule and they're in the schedule, I just dread the day. It sucks the life out of me. And so there were people that I had to have those difficult conversations with about like, this isn't working. And I think you need to find somebody else. Emotional instability is the low vibration of 9. Do as I say, not as I do, like I mentioned. So watch yourself for that when you have a team, because your team is watching every move you make. They are listening to every word you say. So this 9 energy this month is a time for you to step up in your leadership and walk your talk. If you want them to behave a certain way, you've got to lead the show. You're the ringmaster, okay? Perfectionism, that kind of ties into that judgment and criticism. Hiding your gifts is a low vibration of 9. The high vibration of 9 is like stepping fully into your gifts because you have that wisdom. That the wisdom is the gift. Escapism is a low vibration of 9, so that can show up in all sorts of ways. That can just be procrastination. That can be that can be addiction, having 2 or 3 glasses of wine after work. It could be shopping. It could be just like escaping into a book after work. I actually remember working with somebody in a group coaching program where she was an avid reader. And what I realized is that like every time she came to the call, she was so unprepared, and yet she was so badly wanted her business changed. And through a little bit of time, I realized by asking her some questions, I realized that she loves to read. And when she's done work and she gets home, she has her nose in the book pretty much until she goes to bed. And that is a form of escapism. She didn't see the tie between the two, that, you know, if she could put down her book for like 2 hours only and work on her business in the evening, she would get so much farther and still be able to enjoy reading. But for her, it was a form of escapism because it felt too overwhelming for her to work on her business. Not taking responsibility, having excessively high standards. This sometimes comes up with teams of, they just have these owners and managers have these unrealistic expectations. And it often ties back to that they're not walking, the owner isn't walking their talk either. So, they want a new staff member to follow everything that all the directions that they've said, but they haven't set up any operations manual or done any like consistent training with them. And then they're getting upset with them, and I've heard these words of like, why can't they just listen? Why don't they just get it? Well, they're struggling to actually learn. And that hasn't, it's not that they aren't taking responsibility necessarily. It's actually that you haven't necessarily taken responsibility in setting them up for success. So it can happen on both sides there. But in this nine energy, it's can be really blamey. Let's put it that way. Um, and we've got the last piece I have here about the nine is, and it kind of sounds dramatic, but it's true. It's called the nine energy is also the energy of being stuck in a death cycle. And what that means is that, you're kind of stuck in this cycle that is broken. It's not working for you. You're miserable. Like there's no life in it. And you can't get out of it. So the natural progression of, a manifestation cycle or a life cycle would be for the nine to complete, to have closure, to see the wisdom of what's happened, to make those changes and move on to the one. But if they're stuck in judgment and criticism and escapism and perfectionism and hiding their gifts, you're going to be stuck in this death cycle of the nine energy. So this may be triggering some ahas for you as far as, oh my gosh, maybe I felt stuck for a really, really long time. Maybe I'm stuck in a death cycle. And when you're stuck in a death cycle, it's really hard to see the way out. So if that's you, please connect with me because I would love to get you out of that cycle and back into the life cycle of your business. Okay, I want to share a little bit more about the number nine because the number nine shows up in spirituality in all sorts of areas that are really interesting. So, in mythology, the number nine is also often associated with spiritual growth and knowledge. Um, let's see here. In Greek mythology, the nine muses inspired creativity and art. In Greek mythology, sorry, an art. In Egyptian mythology, there was nine gods that presided over the underworld. In astrology, the number nine is associated with the planet Mars, which Mars is about, it governs ambition and energy, action. It's the masculine. It's very directive. Um, and people born under the sign of Mars are often very confident, very independent, and adventurous. So there's that nine energy. In Chinese culture, the nine energy is considered very lucky, the number nine, and it's associated with weddings and birthdays and other celebrations. In Christianity, I don't know about you, but I'm interested in other religions, like learning not so much the doctrine, but learning about the stories, and because there is little bits of history, it's all been written by man, but there's some fascinating stories in there. I actually, a little side note, in college, I took a course on classical and biblical literature because I couldn't get into this other English class that I wanted. But I got to tell you, it was my most favorite class of all of my college classes, to be perfectly honest. It took me by surprise. But it was about, learning the symbolism of all these Christian kind of symbols and stories. So I find that fascinating. In Hinduism, there's the 9 forms of the goddess Durga, and she represents different aspects of femininity and power. In Buddhism, there are 9 stages on the path of enlightenment. In the Mayan calendar, there's 9 levels of consciousness that correspond with the different stages of evolution. And think of music. There's the ninth note. There's sorry, not music. The human gestation period, 9 months is the human gestation period. So there's like this magical number 9 of wisdom, of completions, of and that wisdom, like with the Greek mythology and the Egyptian mythology, all of those things are about like that higher wisdom. So I always just think it's really cool to learn about the other places where the 9 is showing up in energetics. Okay, let's move on to talking about how to use this 9 in your beauty or wellness business, because, I don't like just having the etheric stuff. I got to blend it with the practical. We got to blend this heaven and earth, and we can do that. So we can literally live heaven and earth in our business every day. And of course, when I say you can live heaven and earth in your business every day, I'm using numerology and spiritual insights for business, but all of this can be used for your own personal growth and development. Okay, so the first thing that we want to see the 9 as a gift for us as far as reflection and celebrating our achievements. So what I want you to do this year is in this month, is to look back on the year and what have you done? It's so easy to keep comparing ourselves to the highlight reels everybody has on social media. And we know better, but we still do it. So use October really intentionally to look back on your own life and your own business and what's happened in it. And like, what have you learned? It's not about looking back and going, "Ugh, I should have done that. Ugh, I should have done that. Oh, that was stupid of me." No, 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 no. It's all just lessons. And we just take the lessons and we do better next time. So with that reflection, you could either do some journaling, like have a little business journal, business/spiritual insights journal, and journal what you've felt has happened over the year and the kind of the completion that's happened so far. Now, if you have a team, maybe you want to bring this forward on as a team meeting, reflecting back on our year so far. This is a great, just as far as like, I know a couple of you that are listening actually use numerology and other spiritual tools with your team. And so you could talk about the energy of the 9 this month, what it's going to bring up for them feeling and experiencing in the business with clients, and also what to expect from clients as far as what they're feeling and thinking this month. So with that, reflection, it's really just time in October to acknowledge how far you've come and give yourself a little pat on the back, both spiritually and professionally. Like being an entrepreneur is a hard gig. And, we're looking for guidance every which way. And if you are using your own spiritual tools and your intuition to help guide you along the way, that's a really big celebration, because that's not the traditional way of doing business. And we've had to learn how to do it a little differently. So it works for us. Okay. The next thing I want to bring up in terms of your business and how the 9 will be coming up in the high vibration is to release and declutter. Time to do a little clean out of the space. October is usually a good time. It's sometimes a little bit quieter, and this could be a great downtime duty for yourself or any of your team if you have a team. But what I would suggest as the owner leader is to do an audit of your business operations. Take a look at any outdated services, outdated protocols, excuse me, marketing strategy. Maybe there's some outdated team members that need to go, perhaps, but anything that's not serving your goals, time to go. Bye-bye. You've been fun, or maybe not so fun, but it's time to go. We could also look at, like, if you don't have an operations manual, it's time to start streamlining your operations and creating a manual. With this releasing and decluttering, and when we're talking about decluttering, I would say that do an audit of your retail shelves and your back bar, and like a good audit, and see like what's been sitting on the shelves, like what are we not really selling, and have a bit of a strategy. This month is about letting go and releasing, but it's identifying where the problems are so that we can make a strategy to move forward. And with November being a one energy, it's going to be a great time to like get started on new projects. The other thing I wanted to mention about the release and declutter is I'm wondering if anybody's done this with their team. I never did it with my team because I didn't have a team back. I had a team back then, but I wasn't using spiritual insights. But to maybe have some sort of like team thing, a team meeting. Maybe it's like a little meditation a guided meditation where you're guiding them to let things go, to let things go with trust and love, the things that no longer serve us. And we've got a full moon coming up on what date is it? There's a full moon on the 17th of October. So that's going to be big releasing energy anyways. So double downing on it with this 9 energy month would be wonderful. The next one is mentorship and sharing knowledge. This is more high vibration of the 9. So using this high 9 energy to maybe book some time with your staff, or if you've got contractors that maybe they're doing your social media, not sure what else would they be doing. Social media, email marketing. Maybe you've got a website developer that you're working in a project with, but this is a time for you to let your mentorship shine. This is I've learned a few things along the way kind of energy. It's also a good month to share your knowledge. So if any of you are thinking about doing any workshops or events, October is a really great time for that, in terms of sharing your knowledge. And essentially, you're positioning yourself as a thought leader, which was a really big theme in September, positioning yourself as that subject matter expertise. And now, if you've been practicing that in 8, now you can really step into it much more confidently with this 9 energy. If you were to do like workshops or events, yeah, your vibe is high right now for sharing your knowledge. The last thing I want to share with the high vibration of the 9 is about exploring higher visibility for yourself. So really expanding your vision and reach. And, I know you guys hate marketing. It's not your favorite thing, but I do know that you really love to help other people, in whatever your niche and whatever your service is and whatever your magic is. So, consider, I was pushing at it for September in terms of like, get on there on social media, get out there on your email marketing, be more of a subject matter expert, stand in that energy, stand in that power of what you know. And, with the 9 energy, taking that one step further, and like, if you've been bumping up your social media and all your marketing strategy, still keep that energy, hold the line for that. You could possibly be, let's see, what else could we do with that? The 9 energy is really about expansive thinking. So as we've moved into October, I'm thinking that you probably also will just feel more inspired about how to do that in your marketing. If you are, we had last month, we did have a workshop called Cosmic Codes, 3-month marketing plan. 3 months marketing strategy. And I helped the group create 3 months of marketing strategy based on numerology and spiritual insights, because everybody experiences this monthly energy and the yearly energy the same. Like, we're going to express it differently, but we're going to all feel this energy of the nine. So like this higher wisdom, or, the low vibration, kind of feeling super critical and judgmental and kind of stuck. So if we're being aware and if we're being intentional, this is a great month to keep that momentum going from the 8 into the 9, and really standing in your subject matter expertise and your knowledge and your wisdom of what you know in your business and your niche and your industry. It's the time to expand who you're talking to and expand that reach. So don't be shy. You are absolutely entitled. This is your divine right. After you've learned these lessons, it is your divine right to share these lessons. In fact, it's not only your right, we need you to share these lessons with your clients. They need you to share those lessons. All right, let's talk about the low vibration of the 9 and like how to navigate the low and how to mitigate those challenges, because they can be a little intense. So the first one is avoid overload. I have learned the hard way myself about nervous system regulation and what happens when your nervous system gets completely blown out. And it takes a long, long, long road to healing, and very intentional healing. So I know many of you are on burnout right now or on the way to burnout. So this 9 energy is asking you to literally wise up. Come on, you know better, and to be responsible for yourself. So this is about resisting the urge to take on another project, to complete everything all at once, and be more strategic about the projects you finish. Don't start something new until you've finished other stuff. I know that, as it's kind of like a homeowner, like if you're doing your own renovations, you get to about 90% and you're just done. You don't have anything left in you to finish the last 10% of the house. This is where we're at. That's the last push, but you don't have to be so hard on yourself with it. So like, easeful, kind of keep it going, keep the momentum. You might even need to be delegating some things. Okay. So burnout, your body is telling you something. And if you're not going to listen, if you don't make time for wellness, you will have to make time for illness. That's just how it goes. So my encouragement for you is to lean into your intuition, because you have it. It's time to start listening to it, not listening to like everybody else and like all the clutter. Time to go inwards and listen to self and your intuition. And when it's like being mindful of your nervous system and using your intuition to be like, hey, girl, like, tell me when I'm going over a little bit, I'm going overboard a little bit more. And your body will tell you, it'll tell you by being physically exhausted. It will tell you through like crappy digestion. Like if you have problems with digestion, it will tell you with headaches. It will tell you with just unhappiness, like because there's nothing left. Your cup is empty. Your tank is completely empty. So this is about being mindful, kind of in present moments of where you're at with your energy. And it's not enough just to be like, oh yeah, I'm feeling so exhausted. What you have to, I want you to pair it with, what am I going to do to comfort myself? And when I say comfort yourself, this is the soothing part of this healing your nervous system, or calming your nervous system. So it can be little things. Maybe it's just like, I'm going to sit down for 15 minutes. I only have 15 minutes. I'm going to set a clock. I actually used to like go lie down for 20 minutes, 15 or 20 minutes. I'd set my alarm. I would go into an empty treatment room and turn off the lights, set my alarm, go lie down on a bed, and I'd have a little, just rest my eyes. Sometimes I wouldn't sleep, but I just needed to rest my eyes and my body and my energy for 15 minutes. That's all I needed. And when I got up, I felt like, okay, I'm good. I'm ready to go back in. But also pay attention to your intuition to that deeper level of exhaustion. And it's time, when I was talking about that death cycle, this could be a death cycle that you might be stuck in. Okay. Um, some more low vibration of how it might show up in your business is struggling with boundaries when you are engaging your humanitarianism. So, like I was mentioning earlier, you got a big heart, you ruling number nines. And this month is going to make us also feel like, we want to like take home all the kitty cats and the doggies that don't have homes. It's that humanitarian heart of the nine, but watch your boundaries because you are already in a giving profession. And if you are already like straddling the line of overload and burnout, you got to set these healthy boundaries. So, you know, just because people ask you to do things doesn't mean you have to say yes. And that's part of that wisdom is if you know you're tired and somebody's like, hey, can you come help us with this event? Or, hey, do you want to collab with us on this event? Or, hey, like another mom, can you pick up my kids because I can't make it? If you know you are close to tapping out, or if you know like this is just too much for my nervous system, you get to say no. Okay. Self-preservation. So really just, the spiritual aspect of this is really just honoring that you cannot be your highest and greatest self when you have an empty tank. It's impossible. So let's use that higher wisdom to acknowledge that and realize that and practice that self-care, self-compassion, and like really practice it, not just talking it. You're walking your own talk this month. Is this a deal? Walking your talk this month? Deal. Pinky swear? Pinky swear. Okay, good. Another piece I want you to pay attention to is releasing judgment. So if you notice yourself getting overly critical with yourself or with other people, just take a step back. One of the phrases I want you to think about is shifting from what do I want to what would I prefer? Feel how different those are. What do I want? What do I prefer? The what do I want feels so much more like tight and hard. The prefer is softer. So if you are starting to feel like critical and judgmental and frustrated, take a step back. Again, this is about managing your nervous system, folks. If your nervous system is totally fried, you can't, again, work at your highest level. You can't move into the next level if your nervous system is completely fried. You got no capacity. um, so stepping back, reassess, take a breather to find the root cause of what's actually annoying you. So if you have a team that's annoying the crap out of you because you've been training them verbally and they ask you a million times the same question, maybe it's time to start writing out your protocols and creating an operations manual because that will fix that problem right there. So realize the spiritual aspect of this is realizing that, realizing the wisdom is in the perfection, is in imperfection. There's no such thing as perfect. And, when we're thinking about wisdom, maybe you can almost think about like a wise woman, almost like an avatar who is watching over you, or maybe your guides, thinking about your guides watching over you. They have this great wisdom and they would never, they're so wise, they would never, it never occurs to them like to, to be perfect or to expect perfection because in that soul wisdom, it's not true. It's not true and it's not real. I mean, it's hard because like with the beauty industry, there's a lot of perfectionism abound and it's in our faces. So it can be a real dichotomy to try to make sense of perfectionism and allowing for space and growth and being okay without being perfect. I do see our industry, the beauty industry, moving in that direction, but it's still a long way to go. Facing grace, facing change with grace. The 9 is about endings. It's a completion number. And there's going to be things that are going to be ending this month. They may be relationships. They may be like relationships with people, with clients, with team members, with people in your family. And it usually will be because it's hasn't been working for a while anyways. So it's not really a thing to hold on to. It may be difficult. Letting go is difficult because letting go means changing. We don't like to change, but change is necessary. And really, when it comes to the beauty and wellness industry, we have to keep changing. There's things that have to change and have to end. If we have team members that aren't in alignment with us, that has to end. And move on to a new cycle of finding team members that are more aligned. Because if we keep moving forward with our business with unaligned team members, they're constantly putting wrenches in the flow of business. So if there's been, team members that have been like, bugging you for a while and you just have been putting it off, letting them go, this would be the ideal month to do that. It would be the ideal month also to let go of any relationships that you don't want to be a part of anymore. So maybe you've been collabing with somebody, another company, and it's just not your thing anymore. You can say no. It's totally okay. You've heard it before. No is a complete sentence, but we have a hard time saying no because we're in this industry where we're constantly giving and saying yes. So keep that little side note there available when you feel like it's hard to say no. But if we're able to embrace change gracefully, it feels a lot smoother. I'm not going to say it's not going to be easy. It's just going to feel a little smoother. So it's all about like the spiritual aspect of releasing and changing with grace is that there's natural life cycles to everything. We're moving into a natural cycle on this planet of, where we are in the Northern Hemisphere, we've moved into fall. And that's a time where things are dying. And then we move into winter where things are hibernating. There's nothing growing. Then we move into spring where we see little buds. We move into summer where there's full bloom. So your business is on a life cycle similar to that, where things are sprouting, blooming, then they're dying. It's time for them to go. And then there's a rest phase in there. So take a look at what needs adjusting. And if it's stressing you out, remember that there's a natural life cycle to everything. And it's really allowing more room to come in for what you want. So, for example, last year, after I became certified in numerology, Delia, my colleague, and we'd been working together for probably about 4 years, really, really closely. So she did all the marketing. She was my marketing strategist, and we had a full roster of clients that we did marketing services for them. But when I took my numerology certification and started practicing numerology through the summer, in the fall, I've really felt strongly that this relationship that we built, building this little marketing company, it just really wasn't in alignment with me anymore. I wasn't interested in marketing, like done for you marketing. And it was a conversation that we had that I'm like, I'm ready to move on. And I gave her, the clients and said, you are more than capable of doing this on your own, but it's time for me to move on. And I just kind of feel like this is a good time to do it. It'd been kind of niggling at me and it was time. And I took that step and everything's been fine. We still work together on a few projects here and there, but it didn't wreck the relationship. It's just we had a little bit of a parting and going different ways. And both of us, that's okay, because there's a natural cycle to everything. Maybe we'll come back together and work together and be heavy collaborators again. Right now, we just have little pet projects that I come and work on with her in terms of copywriting and website strategy. And that's lovely. I love that. And that fills my cup to work with her and collaborate with her in a way that I don't have to do it all the time, because that was not filling my cup. And finally, I want to kind of just prompt you to stay grounded during the emotional highs and lows of this month. So the 9 can be a little intense, like I've said. So pull out your grounding techniques, whether that's meditation or journaling or breath work or, pulling tarot cards. Or if you're a numerologist, I pull tarot and I pull a deck of cards as well to give me more information. But when we can stay connected to like a little bit of that roller coaster and being mindful of that roller coaster and using our tools, it really just allows us to stay connected to our heart centers and our heart space. And being in the beauty and wellness industry, and for those of you that have a little bit of woo as part of who you are, I know that's really important to you. That's like part of one of your KPIs, if you will. You know, we've got our key performance indicators of like pre-booking and productivity and average ticket and stuff. But there's also the emotional KPIs that are just as important as a business owner. If my heart doesn't feel full in this business, then that's what juices up the creativity and drives the creativity in the business is the heart center for those of us that are heart-centered entrepreneurs. So I'm always curious about how the 9 is going to, and any number is going to play out on the month. You know, like we can see and understand what to look for, but it will still be very interesting to see how it plays out in our personal lives, in our business, as well as in the world around us. We're kind of in a bit of a crazy time before with the US things going on there. And I suspect that things will kind of, I don't know, maybe settle. But in this 9 energy month, it's our invitation to step into that higher wisdom and tap into our intuition and stay connected with our heart, with our personal life and our business. So the next piece I have as far as the numerology forecast is the power portal days. And these are days of the month that have like extra amplification in them. And the power portal days, I actually don't include them in my numerology forecast anymore. The power portal days are part of the Soul of Business membership. And that's a membership for beauty and wellness entrepreneurs who have a little curiosity in woo or full on our woo and want a place to be able to strategize your business with spirituality. And so I've reserved those power portal days in every month for the members of the Soul of Business. So if that's something that you like, because if you listen to some of my forecasts earlier in the year, I was including those power portals, and I've got them on a calendar, and I use them very tactically and very strategically to basically have an easier month in terms of creativity, thought leadership, financial planning and strategy. It makes a difference because on certain days, there's just an amplification of energy. But I will give you a couple of them. So the first one is it's coming hot out of the gates, and that is tomorrow's new moon. It's a new moon. It's also a solar eclipse, and it is a 7 energy day. So there's a lot of energy around evaluation. So what you're seeing and what you're going to be feeling is the opportunity for reflection with that's the eclipse and the shedding of the old energies in order to find balance. And there may be an opportunity for partnerships in here, but really it's a reflection about what you want to, the old energies, what you want to let go of to provide better balance and deeper meaning to your financial ambition. So there's a lot going on that day. It's a new moon, it's a solar eclipse, it's a 2 energy day, and it's also a 7 of diamonds day. So all of those 4 things can be wrapped up into just like loads of energy around evaluation to let go and to find balance and provide deeper meaning to your financial ambition. Okay, let's go to the full moon. So I'm going to give you the new moon and the full moon power portal days. So that particular full moon is really interesting because it's on an 8-8, a little mini 8-8 portal. So what this translates into, how I interpret this, is what habits are you undermining your own mastery in knowledge and abundance? So today is ripe. That particular day, October 17th, is really ripe to change how you think and communicate your leadership and your mindset. What stories are you believing about yourself and perpetuating that? So it's a day to explore new ideas and thought leadership. And the full moon is really going to amplify these energies. So the main core message there is it's time to change how you're thinking and communicating on the full moon. And what is it that you're going to let go of in order for that to happen? All right. So the rest of them, it is a busy month for energy. That is for sure. And I also noticed some other things numerologically that I had questions in my numerology group about that I was noticing. Like I'm noticing, so the 1st of October is a 1 energy day, the 2nd is a 2 energy day, the 3rd is a 3 energy day. It doesn't normally land like that. And it goes like that through the whole month. So whenever there's doubled up of numbers, there's amplification. So I looked at October and saw all the power portal days, and then I noticed that every day is literally like a little power portal. I feel like this is going to be a big month. Just saying. So, like I said, I don't know how it's actually going to turn out. Everybody's going to be a little bit different in how they express their 9 energy, how aware of it you are in terms of when you're in your high, when you're in your low, but it's going to be a big month one way or the other, and in terms of where you put your energy and how you are being intentional with your personal life and your business. Okay, that is October's numerology forecast for your business. I'm excited. Let me know what you think. Give me your debrief on September. How did that go? How did you experience that 8 energy? I'm also curious, like I brought up that death cycle. I'm curious if any of you identified like, oh darn, ooh, I think I'm in a death cycle. Because that's really, it's powerful, powerful awareness. Once you realize that, then you can finally kind of move forward on it. If you need help moving forward on anything, I'm here for you. And if you're into the woo and into the numerology, and we do end up working together, I layer over top your code over top of your business strategy so that we use these spiritual insights to move the needle on your business, take you to that new plateau, because you're stuck on this lower plateau. We want to get you to that new plateau. And after you're at that new plateau, we'll get you to the next plateau. But it's taking these little jumps, right? The little bump ups. And that's where we're at. We're at the end of a cycle. It's number 9. I'm ready for number 1. We'll see you then.